Welcome back to Off the Schneid. We're taking a look at draft needs. We're going to be going through all 32 NFL teams. We're starting with the Buffalo Bills. Talking about draft needs, free agency is pretty much over for the most part. There's a few trades trickling through, a couple signings here and there type of a thing, but all the major moves are made, and NFL teams are now focusing their attention towards the draft in about a month's time. So, like I said, we're going to take a look through the current roster, the depth chart, and obviously you can see on the screen the picks that the Bills have for this year's draft, and then the team needs right up here. So obviously with this team, it starts with what happened in the playoffs last year against the Chiefs. Don't know if I need to really bring it up for Bills fans. Obviously, that was pretty heartbreaking. This was the number one defense in the NFL last year. And I think obviously you can tell by my team needs, they're going to have to address cornerback. I think I've been, if you look at previous episodes I've done these for years about the Bills, I've been calling for them to draft a corner relatively high almost every year, and they haven't done it in the past 2-3 years. So I think this is absolutely the year that they kind of have to buy into that and get a lockdown corner opposite Tre'Davious White, because he's still a phenomenal corner. So let's blow through the offense here. Josh Allen, obviously still one of the best quarterbacks in the game. Nothing to address there. Case Keenum comes in to back him up. Matt Barkley is there. Devin Singletary, Duke Johnson comes in from Miami, who had a pretty good end of the season last year with the Dolphins, and then Zach Moss is still there as well. I think they're okay. Obviously, you don't see a running back in my team needs there. I don't think it's really necessary. This team isn't a run-heavy team, a run-heavy offense. They're switching from Brian Daboll, who's now head coach of the New York Giants, to Ken Dorsey, who takes over as offensive coordinator, but he's been there for the entire time, and he's been with Sean McDermott since their days back with the Carolina Panthers. So I don't think this offense really changes, if at all. So they don't need to go out and address running back, in my opinion, with Duke Johnson coming in there with his abilities to catch the ball out of the backfield. Zach Moss becomes that pounder. I guess he's kind of always been that same thing he's always been. Devin Singletary can get the job done as he did last season. So I don't address it personally, but they have a lot of picks, so they could address it with the 6th, 7th round, something like that. Move to tight end. OJ Howard comes in after that. I think it was an Achilles tear that he had. Should be fully healthy, ready to go. Him and Dawson Knox, that's a very good combination at tight end. Dawson Knox is probably a little bit of a better blocker than OJ Howard, but you could say OJ Howard's a better receiver than Dawson Knox, so they kind of balance each other out. And they could get on the field a fair amount at the same time, and then that'll take a little bit of the strain away from the wide receiver position that's not super deep. As you can see, I have it as one of their needs, a third need, if you will, at wide receiver. I think they could add a guy, 2nd, 3rd, 4th round. I don't think they have to address it in the 1st round. Actually, to be honest, I think they could wait till the 4th, 5th, 6th, because they need corners, and we'll get there. The offensive line is in a pretty good spot. Spencer Brown turned out to be a quality draft pick. I liked him last year. Roger Saffold comes in. He's just a quality vet, quality starter. Mitch Morse is still there. Ike Bottinger is still there. Cody Ford as well. Tommy Doyle, who's a 5th round pick last year. So they have some depth. Deion Dawkins is obviously still there as well. They could add somewhere, maybe 4th, 5th round again, something like that, where they get a depth guy. Swing interior guard / center would probably be where I would look. Tommy Doyle and Spencer Brown can fill in at left tackle and be those swing tackles if need be. You could add one there. That's why I put O-line. I didn't exactly have, a position in mind, because they just need a guy that they can rotate around in there and be a depth piece for them. So again, it doesn't have to be an early draft pick. Wide receiver, brought in Jamison Crowder, which I really like. He basically just takes over for Cole Beasley. As long as he can stay healthy, because, he's a quality receiver. He's a very, very, very good receiver. I really like Jamison Crowder, but he has, we've seen him get, chipped away at in recent years where he's often injured, hurting, questionable, doubtful, probable, a lot of Q's and P's and Q's and stuff like that when it comes to Jamison Crowder. But they do have Isaiah McKenzie, who I really, really like, who can do a lot of things for this offense. And he can fill in there absolutely if Jamison Crowder were to, get banged up. Stephon Diggs is still one of the better wide receivers in the game, in my opinion. I think he's fantastic. We all know what he is. Gabriel Davis, if you watch this channel a lot, I was very high on Gabriel Davis last year, and I'm still high on him. 4 touchdowns in that playoff game that they should have won against the Chiefs. So he's still a quality guy that I look at in fantasy formats. And I think that he takes that step forward that he wasn't, he kind of just wasn't he wasn't allowed to almost because of all of the pieces that they had at the wide receiver position. And now I think they know what they have finally, and they will give him a few more reps and a few more targets, and he'll be able to produce at the level that I think he's capable of. I do think that they need to add a piece here. An outside guy to fill in for Diggs or Gabriel Davis if they were to get injured, and just a depth guy. Marquez Stevenson I think he was hurt last year. He comes in. Jake Kumaro, who they really like, he's been there for a while as just another depth guy. Plays on special teams and stuff like that. But I think that they could grab a guy in the 5th or 6th round, something like that. It's a relatively deep wide receiver class, so I think they could get a quality piece late and just have a depth piece in there. It's not a huge need, though, that's for sure. So let's move over to the defensive side of the ball. Like I said, this was the number 1 defense in the NFL last year. Leslie Frazier's still there, a fantastic defensive coordinator in my opinion. I think he's going to be looking at a head coaching job probably after this year, I would imagine, so they'll likely lose him. But this defense is in a great spot after getting Von Miller and then Daquan Jones and Tim Settle coming in. Those are some great pickups, those 3 guys, with the draft capital that they've sunk into the defensive end position. Gregory Rousseau, obviously, and Boogie Basham, their first 2 picks last year, and then AJ Epinesa was a second rounder a couple years ago. Shaq Lawson is still there. Jordan Phillips, Ed Oliver's fantastic. So this front 4 is awesome and deep. So they do not need to do anything with that. Let these guys play and they're going to get the job done. This is going to be a very good defense if they hit at the cornerback position. Like I said, we'll get there. I do have linebacker as a need. It's not as an extreme need with Tremaine Edmonds and Matt Milano, who they just re-signed. Those are great pieces. They're fantastic players. They can absolutely get the job done. It's just depth that they need. I don't think, Markel Lee might be the next guy up. Tyler Metkovich, I don't know. They could get rid of him at any point, to be honest. I honestly think he's very replaceable. Again, maybe a 3rd round, 4th round pick for a linebacker, somebody that, in a pinch or if there's an injury to either of those 2 guys, they can come in and play and get the job done. So I think that that's a point of need. Obviously, it's pretty low on the totem pole of needs. They're 5th. This is in order type of a thing. That's why I have cornerback twice on there. They need corners. And they have for years, realistically. Levi Wallace was there last year. He left to join the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I was never a massive believer in Levi Wallace in the first place, if I'm being honest. Teron Johnson I really like, and Tre'Davious White I really like. Those are 2 guys that you can absolutely count on to get the job done, and they can get the job done. They've shown they can. Dane Jackson I think is a quality piece, a quality depth piece, but they need, especially in today's NFL and especially in the AFC. This AFC is going to be an absolute war, an absolute dogfight to make the playoffs, not just, in each division, because every division has at least 2 minimum. Most divisions have 3 teams that can win this division, including the AFC East, in my opinion. So the Bills are not just going to be able to run away with this and just steamroll everybody and take this division. It's not going to happen like that. I do like the Bills a lot and, odds-on favorites to win this division, but it's going to be a dogfight. So like I said, with the way the offenses are being built in the AFC, they're going to have to add corners. You're going to need depth there. with Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde, two of maybe the best safety tandem in the game right now, if I'm being honest. These two are fantastic, especially Jordan Poyer. Both guys had 5 interceptions, and Jordan Poyer was second on the team in tackles. So fantastic at safety, no concerns there whatsoever. They do play every down. Jaquan Johnson and DeMar Hamlin, sure, they can get the job done in a pinch. If you do need to add a safety, roster body competition piece in this draft, 6th or 7th round, it's not a priority whatsoever. But corners, that's just, I can't emphasize it enough. Cornerback is such a massive need for this team that that's why I have them on there twice. I think they should use that 25th overall and the 57th overall, potentially their 3rd or 4th round pick as well on a corner. You're going to need corner help. I just cannot emphasize it enough. But there you go. Let me know what you think in the comments. Those are your draft needs for the Buffalo Bills. You can see up there, we went through the roster, obviously. Tons of capital. They can maybe move up if they see a guy that they really need, but we'll see what we do with my my mock draft that'll be coming out about a week before the draft, something like that. I only do one, so check it out when it comes out. But there you go. There's your breakdown, draft needs, team needs, depth chart as it sits right now for the 2022 Buffalo Bills.